Well, good Monday morning, Alaska. We've got a lot to talk about when it comes to our wet weather pattern that we have been sitting up under, and we're going to continue to hold on to this above average precipitation as we head through a good portion of this week. Yesterday was an exceptionally wet one, and we've got more rain heading our way. Of course, some dry time is to be expected as we head throughout today. We've also got our moment of science. We're going to be talking about bald eagles this morning, some wildfire activity, as well as the latest on the environmental protection agencies when it comes to PFAS. So we have ghost stories coming up following our weather hit. But as far as what we are dealing with this morning, more rain is to be expected. Yesterday was a record-breaking rainfall across Anchorage. Now, while we do tend to see some of these record-breaking single-day rainfall events that occur pretty much each year across South Central, to see more than a 3/4 of an inch of rainfall in a single day, which is what we saw yesterday, that doesn't happen quite often. In fact, it's a fairly rare event to occur as we head through really each day. Seeing that potential for more than 3/4 of an inch of rainfall is not something that we are accustomed to quite often here. Now, as far as what we are going to be dealing with as we head throughout the next couple of days, well above average precipitation is going to stay with many areas of the state. We've also got a wind advisory that will go into effect for Anchorage. That is all elevations starting at 4 a.m. and then lasting through tomorrow evening, with winds gusting up to 65 miles per hour. Of course, most locations will see those sustained winds anywhere from about 25 to 35 miles per hour. And tapping on to what we have already seen in terms of that rainfall, an additional 1 to 3 inches of rain does look likely for South Central as we head through the rest of this week. By midweek, we could already be seeing about 1 inch to 1.5 inches for Anchorage. Taking a look outside across the vast majority of the state, if you want to escape the rain, one area to head will be southeast, as we do have a ridge of high pressure that is still with the region. That is keeping things fairly dry outside of some spot showers, with a better chance for rain arriving by the middle of the week. But you can see Palmer holding on to wet conditions, the interior, some sunshine to start off the morning, or at least some sunshine breaks, but we're also holding on to some of that isolated to scattered activity for the interior. Not as wet for the interior as what we're going to see across South Central, but we are going to continue to favor many areas of the state trending wetter. So far, since midnight, we've already seen over 1/10 of an inch of rain in Anchorage, up to 2/10 of an inch of rain in Wasilla. Really, most locations have seen anywhere from about 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of rainfall, with a handful of locations only seeing a few hundredths of an inch. So we're going to continue to favor this rain as we head throughout the rest of today. And of course, yesterday was a single-day rainfall record. It beat out the previous record of just over 1/2 inch set back in 1979 when we saw, and of course yesterday we saw 0.77 inches. Looks like that the text at the bottom was cut off, but Anchorage hasn't seen more than 3/4 of an inch of rain in a single day since August 8th of 2024, when we saw just over 1 inch of rainfall precipitation. So it's been quite some time since we saw this much rainfall in a 24-hour period. Now, as far as what we are dealing with this morning when it comes to our rainfall, many areas holding on to those temperatures in the 40s and the 50s. We do have a few cool locations with Utqiagvik out towards Gamble sitting in the mid to upper 30s. As far as the warm conditions, though, not many areas will see much of the warmth this week, as we're going to hold on to more of a fallish weather pattern with locations out towards southeast largely seeing the driest conditions. And that comes as that ridge of high pressure remains with regions of the Panhandle. But we got a low across South Central. We've got another low out towards the Seward Peninsula that's keeping some rain in the forecast, and then of course we got a low building into the Bering Sea. This is going to continue to reinforce these wet conditions we've got across the state, as the overall flow will be pulling all of this in from the southwest. In fact, you can look at this when we're talking about our jet stream out towards southeast, extending into parts of Canada. You can see kind of that brief ridging that is with us. Nothing significant. The heart of the ridge is well south of Kodiak, as you can see, but we are seeing that brief ridging, and since it's not a true ridge that is building in across southeast, we will see some cloud coverage and possibly a spot shower or two. But notice across the rest of the state, we've got this trough that continues to remain with us, and it's showing little to no movement here as we head through a good portion of this week. What this means is more of the same weather. So we're waking up this morning to rain. More rain is expected as we head throughout this week. In fact, notice the general trend with this trough that we see. You can see the overall flow of the winds coming in from the southwest to the northeast. So that's going to drive plenty of moisture into south central. That also means any of the storms that's out towards the Aleutians, the Bering Sea, will be swept into south central, western, and southwest Alaska as we head through the next couple of days. So ongoing wet weather is to be expected. And again, I would not be surprised if south central manages to see 1 to 3+ inches of rainfall, which again will be some of the wettest conditions that Anchorage has seen in nearly 2 or just over 2 years. As far as what we are going to see, though, as we head throughout the rest of the day, the rain that is with us this morning, that will stay with us. We'll see some dry time later this afternoon into the evening. We got rain as far north as the Brooks Range, and then locations out west, and then you can see that band of heavier rain that's out towards the Aleutians. All of that will build to the northeast as we head throughout the day. And again, we'll see some dry time as we head towards the afternoon hours. Nothing significant when it comes to dry weather, as we will hold on to some of this light rain and drizzle for a good portion of the day. But notice the active weather and the widespread rainfall that we are going to see as we welcome in our Tuesday. It's going to be a wet day across the region. Now, one thing that is going to keep some areas slightly drier than others. It's still going to be exceptionally wet, but some locations will be slightly drier due to our southeasterly winds that we will see tomorrow. Those are our downsloping winds, but with moisture moving in from the southwest, that will largely overtake that rain shadow, but we'll still see a lot less activity across western parts of south central compared to coastal regions. And again, be prepared for about 1 to 3+ inches of that rainfall, with the higher amounts falling as you head out towards Prince William Sound. As we head through Wednesday morning, we'll keep some early morning showers. We should dry out throughout the day outside of some sprinkle and drizzle activity, and then more rain builds in as we head into Wednesday evening on into Thursday as another system sweeps in from the southwest. And again, that rid or the trough that is with us will keep any of those, or will pull any of those storms from the Aleutians, the Bering Sea, directly into southwest Alaska, as well as here in south central, which is going to reinforce this overall wet weather pattern that we have been sitting up under really through the weekend. Saturday was nice. We saw some stray showers, but those clouds began to increase. The first part of the day did bring some sunshine. Those clouds increased, and then we saw some rain building in towards the evening hours. Now notice from today on through early tomorrow morning, we could see anywhere from 1/4 to about 1/2 inch of rain across western parts of south central, with some locally heavier amounts to be expected as you head through Prince William Sound. This is where we could see up to 1 inch, if not more, of rain. Then as we head through the middle of the week, when that heavier band of rain builds back in, this is where we're going to be watching up to, if not more than, 1 inch of rainfall falling across western parts of south central. And again, it's still going to be exceptionally wet, despite being slightly drier than what the coast will see. And for many areas, this could be an extended period of rainfall for several hours. We will see a few hours of some dry time, but we'll largely keep that rain with us for quite some time as we head through the rest of this week. So again, 1 to 3+ inches of rain is not out of the realm of possibility as we head through the rest of this week, with signs that as we welcome in the weekend, we will see some drier conditions, but most of this week will largely favor the wet conditions across most of south central. So again, Anchorage, we're going to be talking about 1 to 2 inches of rainfall looking possible. I think we'll be on the higher end of that, around 2 inches by Thursday on into Friday. As you head out towards the valley, you can see Palmer sitting there with about 1.31 inches of rain. I think Palmer will likely see about 1 to 1.5 inches, and again, that comes by Friday as Thursday night into Friday as well. And then as you head out towards Valdez as well as Cordova, not as wet as what we typically see for coastal areas. I think it's underdoing it for that 2 to 3 inches, as I think Valdez, Cordova could pick up anywhere between about 3.5 to 4 inches of rainfall, if not some locally heavier amounts. So I think it's underdoing it slightly for coastal areas when it comes to that rainfall. Same scenario for Cordova as well, although Cordova may actually approach more in the way of 5 inches of rainfall. And then you can see out towards Talkeetna, where we're picking up anywhere from about 2 to 3 inches of rain. That does look likely it's going to be within the realm of that, largely due to that moisture coming in from the southwest. It's going to ride into the mountains, lead to that upslope flow, and that's why you're going to see some of that heavier activity as you head out towards Talkeetna and the foothills of the Talkeetna Mountains. Now notice the overall trend, rain continues this week. You can see by the weekend, not as wet. We'll see some showery potential still with this, but it's really a good portion of this week, really the Monday through Friday, that we're going to be watching for most of the rainfall, although we will see some dry time between Tuesday into Wednesday, and then of course from Wednesday on into Thursday we'll see some dry time as well. But the overall rain itself will win out a lot more when it comes to the drier weather that we will see for some areas. So an exceptionally wet week ahead. We've also got that wind advisory in Anchorage for all elevations that goes into effect at 4 a.m. through 10 p.m. tomorrow evening. Southeast winds of 25 to 35 miles per hour. The bigger issue will be those gusts of 45 to 65 miles per hour. And I think those gusts, those stronger wind gusts, will primarily be along the Anchorage hillside out towards Bird Creek and parts of Turnagain Arm. The Anchorage Bowl itself, do not think we'll see those winds gusting in excess of about 45, 50 miles per hour, but we'll still see that potential for some areas of the Anchorage Bowl to hold on to some of those gustier conditions. And when it comes to those winds for Anchorage, the city as a whole, as you head into the Anchorage Bowl, that does look to arrive as we head into the overnight hours. Now there is signs that we could see rogue wind gust of about 50 to 60 miles per hour in the Anchorage Bowl, but those look few and far between. The vast majority of the Anchorage Bowl will see those winds of about 20 to 30 miles per hour. And power outages will be possible tomorrow. Winds will increase tonight along the hillside, with strong winds moving into the rest of Anchorage as we head through the day Tuesday. Now we can't rule out some breezy conditions today across South Central, and even as we welcome in tomorrow, we will see some breezy conditions across the rest of South Central, but the strongest winds will take hold across the Anchorage hillside and through parts of the Anchorage Bowl. So that stays with us tomorrow, where we'll see those winds. The rest of South Central will see winds of about 20 to 40 miles per hour, but nowhere near that wind advisory criteria that Anchorage will be dealing with. And then as we head from Tuesday night on into Wednesday, winds should die down. However, we still will favor winds gusting up to about 25 miles per hour as we head through the middle of the week. Looking at the state as a whole, wet weather is not only going to grip South Central, but a good portion of Alaska, extending as far north as the slope. But you can see the southern part of the state is where we're going to see most of that rainfall, with many areas picking up near an inch, if not well over an inch of rain. From Cold Bay to Bethel, Anchorage, Seward, this is where we're going to, again, see some of those heavier rainfall totals. In fact, southwest Alaska, we'll see some of that heavier rain building in later today on into the evening hours. So an exceptionally wet week ahead will be the trend for many areas of the state. You can see, though, out towards southeast, that's one area you want to head if you want to escape all of this rain, as we will see some sunshine breaks, but largely holding on to partly sunny to mostly cloudy skies. Best chance for rain for Juneau and surrounding areas really arrives as we head into your Wednesday, and even then it's just going to be some scattered to periodic rainfall. So the week ahead favoring ongoing wet weather, and of course Wednesday or Tuesday will be the windy day that we will see. Of course, some breezy conditions will stay with us today and into our Wednesday and possibly Thursday as well, but the strongest winds will be Tuesday. You can see highs upper 50s, lower 60s, so kind of fallish outside, with overnight lows dropping into the upper 40s if it's been hot inside and that temperature hasn't really cooled off some. This week will provide some relief for those indoor temperatures. Into the interior, not as wet as what we will see for the southern coastline, or at least the southern part of the state, but we will see a chance for some showers today, isolated to scattered, drying out Tuesday outside of some spotty activity, with temperatures making a run near 70. Wednesday does look to be the better chance of seeing some rain in the forecast, and then we're going to be seeing another chance for showers as we welcome in the weekend. Looks like I spelled chance there wrong, so I'll have to go correct that. That 7-day for Juneau showing that, yeah, fairly dry conditions the next couple of days. It's Wednesday we're going to be watching for that isolated to scattered activity, and then as we welcome in the weekend, as that ridge backs off, that's where we'll see that better shot for rain building in across southeast. But even then, it's going to be nowhere near as wet as what South Central has been seeing and will see as we head through a large portion of this week. So stay safe on those roadways. You do certainly want to watch out for hydroplaning, specifically in some of those areas where we've got that rutting. As we know, those ruts can certainly be problematic problematic when you're driving on the roadways. You add in water to that mix, well, that can become dangerous. So take it easy on those roads, and remember when it comes to the speed limit, that's only for ideal driving conditions, of which with the rain and the potential for hydroplaning, not ideal, but you still want to make sure that you take it safe on those road conditions. As far as what we are going to deal with when we come up after the break, as we are fixing to send it to break, we've got that our moment of science. We'll be talking about a bald eagle, of course, our nation's animal, and then of course we've got the elephant fire as you head out towards the lower 48 in the Lake Tahoe region. We've got the latest on that, as well as a few other stories. Stay tuned though, and we'll be back right after the break. Well, welcome back in from that break. We are going to start off now with our moment of science, which we do every Monday morning. And today we're going to be talking about bald eagles. And it may have a bright yellow beak, but it'll always be known for the red, white, and blue. Dan Smith walks us through the highs and lows of the bald eagle's history in America in your moment of science.
They've been a symbol of the United States of America for nearly 2.5 centuries. This week, we're exploring the triumph, the tragedy, and the triumph again of the bald eagle. Nope. Let's try that one again. Much better. That single piercing caw you usually hear in movies and TV is actually the sound of a red-tailed hawk. And just like a certain film studio has a tiger roar over a lion face, this one might be blamed on Hollywood execs thinking the former plays better over what sounds more like a seagull. Let's get this one out of the way too. You may have heard Ben Franklin did not want the bald eagle to be the national bird, and that is true. He wrote a letter to his daughter saying it's a, quote, bird of bad moral character, among other criticisms, and propped up the turkey as a, quote, much more respectable bird by comparison, although he never advocated for it to be the feathered symbol of our fledgling nation instead. The bald eagle took its place of prominence in 1782, but didn't actually become the official national bird until Christmas Eve 2024. Bald eagles are the only eagle species exclusive to North America, found in every U.S. state except Hawaii. The bald part doesn't refer to a lack of feathers on its head, as it likely comes from the Middle English translation for white. In fact, its scientific name translates from Latin to white-headed sea eagle. You can find them far away from the sea, of course. Their nests, called eyries, are the largest baby crib of any bird out there, some as wide as 10 feet. Bald eaglets start out gray, eventually turning brown through their awkward teenage phase. They get those signature white feathers around 4 to 5 years old, living for an average of 20 to 25 years in the wild. These birds also have great eyesight, besting our 20/20 vision by at least 4 to 5 times. Their retinas pack in more cones or light detecting cells than we do, with much sharper color vision as well, including ultraviolet light. A 340-degree view on the world is often cited, yet some studies place that closer to 260, still better than ours, allowing them to spot their prey at a much greater distance, with a rabbit at 2 miles or more being the most cited example. When it comes to prey, bald eagles can dive down at more than 100 miles an hour, which incredibly is still half that of a peregrine falcon. Good thing they have a nictitating membrane as a translucent eyelid of sorts to block the wind, and even a nasal cone to keep their lungs intact while breathing at double highway speeds. Their primary dinner is fish, sometimes catching its own, but often waiting for another bird of prey like an osprey to come along, fight with, and give up the goods. Once again, the founding father weighs in, saying the bald eagle, quote, does not get his living honestly. He is too lazy to fish for himself. Beginning to think an eagle stole Ben's catch of the day one time, and he never forgave them. Now, despite their symbolism, bald eagles were not always treated with reverence. Far from it. Bounties used to be given for shooting them to protect livestock, and the rise of DDT and pesticides contaminated their food. Nesting pairs nationwide reached an all-time low of 417 back in 1963. Since then, conservation efforts have brought that figure back up to more than 70,000, nearly half calling Alaska home, with an estimated 300,000 plus individuals. A true story of American resilience, as long as we put the effort in. For this week's Moment of Science, I'm Dan Smith.
Well, it certainly is a majestic bird, and as we know, we've done numerous stories here, from the birds perched in the trees out towards Muldoon to just the bird sanctuaries across as you head out towards southeast. So we do have a plethora of bald eagles across the state. Well, firefighters are battling a raging wildfire in northeastern Canada. The fire broke out in the Tahoe National Forest in an area known as Elephant Peak. The so-called Elephant Fire already has charred more than 2,100 acres. Fire officials are assessing the situation, and they have issued an evacuation order for a small area near the fire zone. Officials are urging other residents to pay attention to what's happening, especially if the fire expands and more evacuations are needed. Well, heading down south now to Chile. Even though it is summertime, some people love to ski year-round. One popular destination is the Andes Mountains in Chile, but conditions in the mountains are not viable for skiers right now. The region is still dealing with a years-long drought, and that means there's not enough snow around. It's so bad, the main ski resorts have had to suspend the use of 90% of their slopes. Some experts say climate change is partially to blame, and authorities say businesses that rely on attracting skiers this time of year may have to think of other ways to entice tourists to come to the region. And finally, this morning, the Environmental Protection Agency has approved 3 new PFAS pesticides for use on U.S. crops. The chemicals are part of a group known as forever chemicals because they can stay in the environment for years. The EPA itself says many such chemicals are linked to health risk, including cancer, fertility problems, and immune system damage. Trump administration officials say they are following the science and evaluating real-world exposure risk. The EPA's expanded use of PFAS chemicals comes just days after the U.S. Supreme Court limited citizens' right to sue pesticide companies. Well, that was a look at rain across the state, as well as the exceptionally wet weather we are going to see as we head through a good portion of this week, as well as a few stories coming in from across the nation and the globe. We'll be right back here tomorrow morning at 8:30. For now, we'll send it to our 24/7 weather channel, which you can always find on our website at alaskasnewssource.com. Have a great Monday and stay safe on the roadways. on into our Tuesday. And we're talking about exceptionally wet weather looking likely to continue as we welcome in the overnight hours on into Tuesday. So the overall weather pattern showing that ridge that we did see, that brief ridging towards the tail end of last week that brought that nicer weather, that has shifted out towards southeast, driving in those that ridge of high pressure, keeping things fairly quiet. But notice here over the next couple of days, really through a good portion of this week, we are going to be locked in place with this trough, and that is going to keep more of the same weather. It's kind of a fallish storm weather pattern that we do have across the state. Notice the overall trend, though, as we head through the rest of this week. We've got that jet stream lifting northeast right into south central. So that's going to drive in ample moisture to the region. While we are expected to see some gusty conditions tomorrow across south central, we will try to see that rain shadow win out for the first part of the day, but the amount of moisture that's going to stream into south central should be able to overcome that rain shadow effect, as we are going to continue to see more of that rain building into the state. So this morning you can see the rain showers across the state. This is what we're going to be watching as we head into the overnight hours, as that's going to lift to the northeast and build into south central. And we're going to see that rain once again steadily increase as we head into the overnight hours on into Tuesday. And this is just going to come into several waves of rainfall. We'll see some dry time later this afternoon and into our Tuesday night on into Wednesday. We're not talking about a widespread all day, several hour rainfall potential for your Monday. But as we welcome in Tuesday, that likely will change as we tap into more of that rainfall potential. So notice from today on through the middle of the week, you can see anywhere from 1 to 3+ inches of rainfall is expected for many areas of south central. The Copper River Basin may fare a lot drier, but still expected to see the potential for anywhere from 1/2 inch to about 1 inch of rainfall. And then we've got that wind advisory that will build into south central as we welcome in the overnight hours on into our Tuesday. You can see those gusts up to 65 miles per hour. Power outages will be possible. Those winds will increase on the Anchorage hillside and then drift down into the Anchorage Bowl as we head through the day tomorrow. That 7-day forecast showing the cooler weather staying with us. More of that rain to be expected with highs in the upper 50s and lower 60s.
out there. Aaron, what can we expect?
More rain. That is what we are going to be watching here over the next couple of days. Well above average precipitation this week for many areas of the state. We've also got a wind advisory that will go into effect for Anchorage for all elevations as we head from 4 a.m. tonight on through tomorrow evening for winds up to 65 miles per hour, or at least those max wind gusts. And as we head through this week, we'll see 1 to 3+ inches of rain likely for all of South Central. So it's going to be an exceptionally wet week as we head out the door each and every morning. We've got those temperatures anywhere from 34 in Utqiagvik down to coastal regions of South Central where we're sitting in the lower 50s. We're holding on to some cooler conditions across a good portion of the state. The two warm spots, Kotzebue as well as Fairbanks, coming in with those temperatures sitting in the mid 50s. Now, while things are fairly active across a good portion of the state, the one place you want to go if you want to escape most of the rain is out towards southeast. While we can't rule out some stray showers the next couple of days, it's really not until Wednesday, Thursday before we tap into more of that rainfall. But you can see rain gripping South Central, lifting north into the interior. More rain as you head out towards southwest Alaska. And our next system we're watching is out towards the Aleutians, and that's going to arrive as we head into the overnight on into our Tuesday. And we're talking about exceptionally wet weather looking likely to continue as we welcome in the overnight hours on into Tuesday. So the overall weather pattern showing that ridge that we did see, that brief ridging towards the tail end of last week that brought that nicer weather, that is shifted out towards southeast, driving in those that ridge of high pressure, keeping things fairly quiet. But notice here over the next couple of days, really through a good portion of this week, we are going to be locked in place with this trough, and that is going to keep more of the same weather. It's kind of a fallish storm weather pattern that we do have across the state. Notice the overall trend, though, as we head through the rest of this week. We've got that jet stream lifting northeast right into South Central. So that's going to drive in ample moisture to the region. While we are expected to see some gusty conditions tomorrow across South Central, we will try to see that rain shadow win out for the first part of the day, but the amount of moisture that's going to stream into South Central should be able to overcome that rain shadow effect as we are going to continue to see more of that rain building into the state. So this morning you can see the rain showers across the state. This is what we're going to be watching as we head into the overnight hours, as that's going to lift to the northeast and build into South Central. And we're going to see that rain once again steadily increase as we head into the overnight hours on into Tuesday. And this is just going to come into several waves of rainfall. We'll see some dry time later this afternoon and into our Tuesday night on into Wednesday. We're not talking about a widespread all-day, several-hour rainfall potential for your Monday, but as we welcome in Tuesday, that likely will change as we tap into more of that rainfall potential. So notice from today on through the middle of the week, you can see anywhere from 1 to 3+ inches of rainfall is expected for many areas of South Central. The Copper River Basin may fare a lot drier, but still expected to see the potential for anywhere from 1/2 inch to about 1 inch of rainfall. And then we've got that wind advisory that will build into South Central as we welcome in the overnight hours on into our Tuesday. You can see those gusts up to 65 miles per hour. Power outages will be possible. Those winds will increase on the Anchorage hillside and then drift down into the Anchorage Bowl as we head through the day tomorrow. That 7-day forecast showing the cooler weather staying with us. More of that rain to be expected with highs in the upper 50s and lower 60s.